taught me how to live. Daddy taught me how to give. Both of them had their own sins. Down to the river, every man has felt the shame. All our blood, it runs the same. Father, hear us as we pray. Down to the river, down to the river. Sing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, going down deep, singing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, washing me clean, carry sea,
Hi, thanks for joining us on the Cryptid Wilderness Research Podcast. I am CWR team member Daniel Becker up here in Anchorage, Alaska, staring into the Arctic abyss. And joining me, as always, from Quincy, Washington, my fellow host, Matt Slater.
Hello.
Well, Matt, have you gotten out in the field with that new camera yet?
Just that one trip so far. Still waiting for the upper parts of the mountains to get rid of the snow. It's slowed down a little bit. We had about a week of cold weather there, and the snow melt's not going very fast. But next week it's supposed to get up into the upper 60s. So hopefully then.
Well, our winter here in Anchorage has been extremely mild, and just when thought we were completely out of it, and entering the period that we call breakup here, the snow came back. So that's kind of delaying things for me getting into the woods farther out where I'd like to go. And also we've got Mount Spur starting to act up.
Yeah.
As you know, everybody's trying to rush to the auto places to get their air filters, lest the ash cloud come and dump on us and ruin our cars. Yep. So so we're watching that volcano really closely. And we're also, as cryptid researchers up here, we're also watching how volcanic activity will affect the cryptid activity.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
People have been asking questions about that, obviously with thoughts of Mount St. Helens on their minds when they ask these questions. So today we have, and I always love having researchers from the Midwest because I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm originally from Newark, Ohio, and lived in Michigan, lived in Minnesota. And so today our guest is Barnaby Jones. And Barnaby Jones is a prominent cryptozoologist, a paranormal researcher based in Wisconsin. He's known for founding the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Society, CAPS, and hosting shows like Monsters on the Edge and the Paranormal Spectrum on the Untold Radio Network. His expertise has been showcased in various media outlets, including American Paranormal Magazine and My Haunted Hometown on the T&E Network, along with numerous podcasts. Jones and his team primarily investigates in Wisconsin, but have also ventured across the United States, exploring a wide range of locations, such as haunted sites and remote forests, to uncover elusive creatures and spirits. And if you check out their YouTube channel, they've got a lot of great stuff going on. And of course, we'll have the links to their channel and also other social media in our description. Yeah. So without further ado, let's welcome Barnaby Jones from Wisconsin.
All right.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey.
How are you, sir?
I am doing well. How are you yourselves?
Good. Thanks. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And like I mentioned before, I'm originally from the Midwest, so Midwestern researchers have a special place in my heart. So we're looking forward to hearing about your experiences and about your your research team. So let's start out. And we always start out this way, finding out what got you led down this road of cryptid investigation and paranormal research.
I've always been interested in paranormal. I've always been interested in cryptids ever since very young. Back in elementary school, I actually did a research paper on the chupacabra because that was big out in the time when Puerto Rico was having all the sightings and stuff like that. So that really captured my attention, and just everything from Bermuda Triangle, the pyramids, aliens, all that stuff always interested me. I did some paranormal research throughout high school, middle school, all that stuff. Spent time in graveyards and so forth. Had a couple paranormal experiences going all the way back to that, and I ended up owning a Halloween haunted house attraction. And it was in a it was in a actually haunted building as well.
Oh,
And
wow, that's cool.
I had numerous paranormal encounters and things in that building, everything from hearing voices, little kids laughing, seeing shadow entities and stuff, odd objects moving, things getting unplugged. And it kind of all culminated to one major event that's still the most bizarre encounter I've had, where I had a 6-foot fake tree literally thrown at me one night there. And that was not by a person, that was by something unseen, unknown. And in 2019, myself and my mom actually got the chance to go up to Upper Michigan, and we got to meet and hang out with Craig and Barb Salk, who own 80 acres of private property up there in Menominee, Michigan. And in 2012, they got a series of game camera photos that some believe hold a Bigfoot. They sent them into Finding Bigfoot. Finding Bigfoot came out, investigated the property, and people wanted to see the evidence, see where it got taken place and that. So they opened up their property as the Heighten Adventure, and we got to go up there and see this, hear the stories, take the tour and stuff. And this is when I realized that Bigfoot, who I always was interested in and thought was up in the Pacific Northwest and stuff like that, actually was right here in Wisconsin, in Michigan, Illinois, and all over the United States. So I started reading the books by Linda Godfrey, who is famous for writing all about the Beast of Bray Road and Dogman encounters and stuff. And she started talking about this location in southern Wisconsin that's known as the Burlington Woods, or the Burlington Vortex. And we went down there because this area had literally everything from Bigfoot encounters to Native American serpentine mound, shamanic burial site, fairy creatures, UFO sightings, you name it was down in this area. And we thought, well, if we're going to go look for something, this is the perfect place to start. So myself and one of my other friends who was into paranormal went down there one night, and we got there after dark. So I didn't want to go into a woods that I didn't know anything about. So we just parked in the parking lot and kind of sat there and listened and watched. And we heard something coming through the woods, to check us out or whatever. And up on the ridge of the parking lot there, I started shining my light, and something had been standing, like leaning out, holding down a tree branch. And as my light hit it, the branch popped up and it ducked back into the woods. So a couple weeks later, we went back down there and actually looked in that exact spot and found barefoot footprints. We got whistles. We had a tree branch literally ripped off of a tree that day that we were there. We got what I believe is 2 of these creatures on thermal image, and it just snowballed from there. So we started gathering all this evidence, and we thought, well, what do we do with it? So we created this documentary about everything that we did, and we put it up on YouTube. And that was in August of 2019. And we've been going as Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society ever since. We do everything from Bigfoot, paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, metaphysical, paranormal. We travel all over the United States talking about this at conventions and library presentations, and you name it. So that's where we're at now.
So when you first started talking to people who had had personal encounters with Sasquatch, and as you interviewed more and more people, what types of commonalities did you find in the stories?
Um, the the personal nature of it really stuck out as far as you can tell when someone has had an actual experience. When we've taken witnesses back out to these locations and they shake, they're visibly disturbed and just kind of always like looking over their shoulder, expecting this thing to come back out at them, especially when you get very current witnesses, like, well, this just happened last weekend. Okay, well, will you take us back out there and show us where it happened? And these people are still shook up, and this isn't something that you can shake. I did, all kinds of psychology classes and stuff in high school, and from doing the haunted houses and all this stuff, you get a feel for people and talking to them, and the more people you interview and stuff, you can tell people that, like, I don't know. But then there's the ones where just there's something else there. And this is one of the main things that we look for in these witnesses. But a lot of the stories, we get a lot of the same things, pretty much road crossings. We hear a lot of that. We hear weird noises, howls. Some people have actually gotten to record these audios, and so we've gotten to go out and interview them and check out where these actual vocals and stuff had taken place. Stick structures, we got a lot of that up here in Wisconsin. So typical Bigfoot stuff. I mean, there's some stuff that we don't have. We've gone down to Kentucky and Tennessee. They have a lot of like rock stacking down there, and that's something that we haven't encountered up here in Wisconsin for
Interesting.
whatever reason. But about the typical run of the stuff, everything howls, vocals, wood knocks, we get all that here.
So I don't know that much about the reputation of Sasquatch in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, do they have a reputation for being more on the aggressive side, more on the elusive side? What's the reputation of Sasquatch there?
Yeah, there's not much about Bigfoot out there for Wisconsin right now. That's actually why we can talk about this later too. But we actually produced a feature-length documentary on Bigfoot in Wisconsin. It's coming out May 10th at our convention, and then you can get it on our Patreon and a couple other platforms and stuff. But it's the Hairy Man of Dairyland. Wisconsin's Bigfoot, and that's what it's called. You can check out the trailers and stuff on our YouTube channel for it. But we've really wanted to showcase what's going on here in Wisconsin, from the evidence that's collected to the people that are looking for it, and the locations that it's been seen. So as far as what they are in Wisconsin, I mean, there's not really a lot of stories of attacks or violence or anything like you get in like the southern United States, like Texas, Oklahoma, and that. They're pretty elusive. There's some rock throwing around like fires. We've gotten that heard a lot. It seems like fire is really a catalyst to some of these encounters. In a lot of the places where we've gone out, if there's a fire in a place that there hasn't been before, like a campfire or somebody camping out or just something of that nature, it seems to draw them. And you got to think, like, you were talking about the volcanic activity at the beginning of the show there and stuff, that these natural disasters and stuff are known to them just as much as they are to us. So if there's a wildfire, a forest fire or something, this is something that is a danger to them, their food source, their habitat, where they're living, that if they smell, see, hear any of that indication, they're going to go investigate it. I don't know if they're trying to put it out or they want the people to leave or whatever, but you get a lot of these rock throwings in conjunction with having a fire in Wisconsin. So
Do you believe that the Sasquatch in Wisconsin, that Wisconsin, Minnesota, Upper Peninsula, Michigan corridor, do you believe that they're migratory, or do you believe they kind of stay in the same territories?
I think that not necessarily migratory, but I think that they follow the food sources. They might have like a 30, 40 mile home range, kind of very similar to your large cats or bears or whatever have you, that they're going to live in a specific area. They may be territorial of that area where you have a small family unit of them, a mother and a juvenile, and then a male will come in and out of those territories. But for the most part, they're going to stay within that home range, but follow the food sources. So when you have certain fish that are spawning or something, they're going to go towards the rivers and stuff. One of the locations that we researched was up in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. And we believe that these things, this was right away in the spring when the waterway started opening up there, the Pelican River. And there was these backwaters of the Pelican River there where the ducks and geese would come down and roost for the night as they're passing through the area, and the Sasquatches would come in and throw rocks at these ducks and geese and basically hunt them. So this is one very specific location where you had a food source that was migrating through, and you see a direct correlation with the behavior of the food sources there. These things showed up, and then around, that was in March, and around May we stopped seeing activity. So once the migratory birds moved out of that area, it seemed like everything kind of shut down and these things moved off to a different area.
So you and your team have, like we mentioned, you've ventured into the paranormal areas as well as the cryptids. So oftentimes we'll hear stories from people about seeing UFOs in the vicinity of Sasquatch. Have you come across any of those stories or had any experiences yourself with that area?
As far as that goes, like I said, Burlington Woods, the Burlington Vortex down there, we had everything from fairy activity. We had paranormal encounters down there. We had Bigfoot encounters. We saw UFO down there. So all this stuff, for whatever reason, is situated in that little area. And I don't know why. We still haven't realized a reason behind why all that stuff was there, but we continue to go down there. We just had our 5-year anniversary and we spent the day down there at that location, the whole day down there doing research and experiments and stuff. And there's still nothing conclusive that we can say as far as high electromagnetic fields or a vortex or a portal or what have you, why this is there. There is a high voltage power line that cuts through this section of the woods right there, and we've even done some research on that to see if that had any kind of correlation to the energy and stuff in the woods. We took different readings throughout different days and times of day and stuff to see if the energy levels fluctuated in different parts of the woods. And I mean, we've done so much stuff down there and we're still no closer to the answer. As far as if Bigfoot is correlated with any of that, I think that, I always say, if you're out in the woods and you're hunting deer, right? You're sitting in your deer stand and you're waiting for the deer to walk into your path and you see a Bigfoot walk out in front of you. Do you consider that a deer? No, you consider that a Bigfoot. It's something completely different. And so when you're out there and you're looking for Bigfoot and you see orbs of light or you see these UFOs or other things out there, what makes you think that that has any correlation at all to Bigfoot? It could. It absolutely could. But you're looking at two totally different phenomenon and trying to explain one with the other. And I think, there's no reason to believe that these things couldn't be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, what have you, but there's just not as much evidence to show that. When you talk about things that are paranormal and so forth, you get a lot less physical evidence. Everything that we've seen with the Bigfoot creatures, we've heard stories of them eating. We've heard young, they've had offspring, they've reproduced, they've drinking water. They've done everything that we'd expect out of a physical animal being on this planet, that there's no reason to kind of believe that these things would be anything other than a flesh and blood creature.
So Sasquatch has a long history of interaction with the indigenous peoples. I know they do here in Alaska. And so in Wisconsin, have you yet had the opportunity to speak to any of the indigenous people in your state and found out any of the stories there?
I don't know so much directly with our state. I have spoken with a lot of indigenous people and stuff across the country in that, but I don't know offhand any specific stories from Wisconsin. We have several different tribes and stuff in Wisconsin. We have the Oneida, we have the Menominee, Stockbridge, uh, several different ones here. I know I'm missing some, but mainly in this area. But I don't know offhand that anything like really stands out as far as different from any of the other ones. You get the typical the interactions where they talk about having bring them into their fires, or trading with them and stuff like that. In the Midwest, we have a lot of stories of the red-haired giants, and these guys were the copper miners. A lot of our areas, like we have Aztalan State Park here in Wisconsin, that was a big native, basically like an earthen mound pyramid. We have all the mound builders and stuff here, and they supposedly dug up these giant skeletons in these mounds or near these mounds. And there's some speculation that these red-haired giants were Bigfoot at the time, but there's a lot of different things that just don't stand up with that, like the fact that the people talk about how the red-haired giants were miners. They did the copper mining and stuff like that, which you don't hear a lot of stories of Bigfoot using tools or anything of that nature. Another thing with the red-haired giants is they're supposed to have a double row of teeth. And in all of these stories and stuff that we hear about Bigfoot, you never hear of any weird things like that. Like nobody says, well, they had 2 rows of teeth. Some people say, oh, they had fangs, they had, molars, whatever have you with their teeth, but you don't ever hear anything as far out as that. And with these skeletons that they found of these giants, they supposedly had this double row of teeth. So I don't know.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying regarding the mounds. My hometown is Newark, Ohio, and we have mounds in Newark there that as a kid I would always go to Mound Builders Park and hang out there. So that's always been a fascinating topic to me. There in your state, Wisconsin, what would you say the major food sources are for Sasquatch?
We have a lot of food sources. We have like raspberry bushes and stuff out there that grow wildly. We have a lot of fish, frogs, turtles, things of that nature. Also, we have deer, a lot of deer. The white-tailed deer is very prevalent in here. We supposedly have elk. I've never come across an elk, but I know that there's some up north in Wisconsin, as well as even some moose that occasionally come down into the top part of Wisconsin here. But other than that, it's mostly just white-tailed deer, raccoons, smaller mammals of that nature. And then we have black bears.
So you and your team have also, as it was mentioned earlier, done research in different parts of the country. Tell us about some of your most memorable experiences in doing that.
You just want Bigfoot or in general?
Let's go with Bigfoot for now.
Perfect. We got the chance to go down to Kentucky and Tennessee to do some research down there. And this isn't necessarily my story, but I was there for it. That we were filming for this haunted coal mine in Kentucky. It's Portal 31. We got to go down and do this. And we got up, myself and my mom were down on this trip. And we got up pretty early in the morning, and we were driving to the coal mine to do some just B-roll shooting of the area around it and stuff. And we pulled up in the parking lot, and we ran our dash cam, our GoPro on the dash cam and stuff while driving. And I turned it all off, got out of the car to start setting up the other cameras and that. And she got out of the car and literally saw a Bigfoot walk across the road in front of us. And I have gone back over the dash cam footage with a fine-tooth comb, because I know that by the time it got to the road, it had to have been on camera when we pulled up there. It just had to have been. There's a fence line that ran right there, And for this thing to have walked where it did, we actually went over there and found footprints in the ground of where this thing had walked and crossed. So there's no doubt what this thing was that she saw. I didn't see it. I had my head in the trunk at the time, so I missed out on that one. But that was probably one of her most memorable moments out Bigfooting and stuff. And we went down there though because we had the opportunity to go out Bigfooting with the Turtle Man from Animal Planet, and we got to film. We got to film for a whole day with him down there. He's had quite a few encounters going back to when he was younger, where he actually saw these creatures down there, and he took us out and to a couple hotspot locations down there to look for these things and basically teach us tracking. Because, you know, as fun and crazy as he is on TV, man, he really does know his stuff. He is an amazing, wonderful guy, just terrific with his fans and everything, and would bend over backwards, give you the shirt off his back. Terrific guy. But he really does know his stuff. And we learned so much stuff about tracking and looking at just everything, how long something has been disturbed, you know, and just amazing stuff while we were down there with him. So that kind of stands out as far as like Bigfoot stuff. We've done a lot of research up in Upper Michigan. As I said, the Hayden Adventure property. We spent 3-4 years up there researching on that property, and numerous encounters. I mean, we had everything happen from, again, my mom actually saw one on the property up there. It came up behind her to the end of a carport where she was sitting in front of, and reached up and was almost going to like smack the top of the carport, she thought. And she turned around and all she saw was just this black silhouette, the shape of this thing. And she turned back around like, I don't want to see that, you know. And she turned back around and it was gone. So didn't see it like daylight or anything like that, but just the black mass of one of these creatures. And it had to been 6-7 feet tall in order to reach where it was. It was taller than Craig is 6'3", or he was, and it was bigger than him, quite dwarfed him on the property. We've captured whoops up there. We've captured a little bit of what's known as like the samurai chatter, the vocals up there as well. We have not managed to get an actual howl up there. We have done some calls and stuff, but never got that. But every other piece of evidence that you could ask for up there, trail camera pictures and thermal, and yeah, it's an amazing place up there.
So oftentimes when people talk about Bigfoot, they immediately think about the Pacific Northwest. That comes into everybody's mind, in those people that are outside the Bigfoot research community, if you will. In your opinion, around the country, where would you say is probably the hottest spot for Sasquatch?
I mean, you got to look at the sighting reports. Well, not necessarily even that too. Just because something is not reported doesn't mean it's not happening. There's a lot of sightings in Wisconsin that are not part of the BFRO. They're not part of the Bigfoot mapping project, that have just been personally reported to us or other reporting agencies in Wisconsin. There's several other ones around here that do collect information and stuff as well. But there's not one good database that has everything, per se. But, Wisconsin,
very true.
Washington, Ohio, Florida are all, California, Washington, are all very prominent with these things, especially like Salt Fork State Park is known for Bigfoots. In Ohio, they have the annual convention stuff there coming up in early May. And we actually got to go out there and be at the convention a couple years ago, and we had something in the woods. I got it on thermal and I chased it down one of the little gullies there, and I have no idea what it was. It could have just been a deer or something, but I lost it and I have no idea what it was or anything. It just took off. So, but there's a lot of reports coming out of Ohio and that area. So
yeah, that Ohio is an amazing research state. Like you mentioned, Salt Fork, Coshocton County around there, and Yeah, that's a fantastic place to do research, and a lot of people don't think of Ohio as being a, a big hotspot, but it really is, as you pointed out. Let me turn the microphone over to Matt Slater up there in Quincy, Washington.
Yeah.
What you got, Matt?
Excuse me. Going back to the vortex
Mhm.
that you researched so extensively, I've been wanting to ask, when you go into especially that area, because I've heard of other vortexes, and people's experiences with them. When you go into that area, you have your cameras, you have your equipment, and you're able to measure, the EMF, the electric fields and stuff like that. But do you personally feel a difference in the area, or like even when you're up, at the research location in northern Wisconsin, is there a different feeling to the area? Like, does it kind of feel charged? Does it feel different?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So our team is built of about 10 different people that are active right now, and we range everything from, my specialty is cryptozoology. That's what I do. And I focus my research on that. We also have mediums and psychics and paranormal people, and each one of us is able to bring something different to the field. And that's why we all go out on not every investigation, but all different investigations and stuff. So when we go out bigfooting, we have a medium with us because you never know. And all these different things we're able to look at from different aspects. So it's not always just, like, instead of leading with theories and stuff, we let the research lead where we go. So we just look at something. When we go into an area, we don't look for Bigfoot. We go out into the forest to see what's in there, whether it be fairies or aliens or whatever's out there. We're not looking for a specific thing when we go out, basically. But anyway, back to your question. There's two parts of the Burlington Woods. So when you park there, you go into the first section where there's this little fairy circle, and you go into there and you leave like M&Ms or Skittles or a little trinket or something as a tribute to the fairies of the woods. You ask for safe passage, and you enter the woods as kind of just out of respect. Our Native American on the team tributes tobacco and says a little prayer and stuff when he goes in. So, just to be respectful and do that when you go in. So the first half of the woods is what we call like the fairy Bigfoot side. And we have had all these encounters with fey creatures and weird stuff happen on this side, but it's all critter based, we'll say. And then you go up on the serpentine mound and you cross under the power lines. And when you cross under the power lines, the entire second part of the woods is shamanic and paranormal. We have never had a paranormal encounter on the critter side, and we've never had a critter encounter on the paranormal side.
Wow.
I don't know how to explain that, because it shouldn't be that way. You would think that these things can cross over or do whatever, but it seemed like just certain things happen in certain areas. But you're 100% right. As soon as you walk into these woods and other woods that we've been in, you feel something. You feel a charge, an energy. This woods very, very much so feels enchanted, for lack of a better word. It feels like anything could happen. There's magic. There's something happening there. We've done research in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and the woods there feel primeval. They're giant trees, just old growth, a completely different feel where everything on the ground is covered in moss and down trees, and just very like Jurassic Park kind of feel to it. It is absolutely amazing feel. There's smells that you don't have in any other woods. And just every woods that you go into is different, but you can tell when something's there or not. You start to get that feeling of, like there's certain places like the creepiest woods, dark, creepy woods that you ever want to be in. And I could walk through, and this is what I say, like when I go into haunted houses or woods or something, like I could lay down and take a nap here. And that basically means like there's nothing here. Like I feel safe. I feel nothing. Like I don't feel like Bigfoot's going to come out and attack me. I don't feel like, there's a demon around every corner. I feel like I could take a nap. And if I get that feeling, like there's nothing there, we might as well leave because there's nothing going on. And other times you walk in and every hair on your body is standing up, and you just get that feeling of being watched, whether it be a deer or a porcupine or what have you. Something is watching you. And this gets into the whole metaphysical side because, if anybody out there is a parent, we talk about this and, why we use electromagnetic fields or EMF detectors and stuff in paranormal, because everyone's body puts out these electromagnetic fields. And when you encounter someone else, you encounter their electromagnetic field. This is science. This is real. This isn't, hokum or anything like that.
Yeah.
So for, like I said, with anybody that's a parent, you're laying in bed, sound asleep, and you get the feeling of being watched, and you wake up and your kid is standing next to the bed, right? You just know this. And this is what that electromagnetic field is. And when someone is watching you, when someone's staring at you from across the room, you get that feeling. And that's what you get in the woods there. This like tingle, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you go, something is out there. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Have you had any issues with your battery powered devices in these areas? Interference.
I don't know if I want to say interference. I mean, we've done so many different things. Like one piece of equipment that we take in the field, example, like we'll take something out there and it will not work, will not turn on, nothing but problems. Change the battery, change the battery pack, change everything, the SD cards, what have you, it will not work. Okay, so I set it aside. I'll look at this when I get home. I go home, turn it on, works great. Never have a problem with that piece of equipment again.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I mean, this has happened. And here's another, going back to the point of, you can't judge what it is by what you're doing. So we were going out Bigfooting and we have these issues. I can't blame that on Bigfoot. That could be other things out in the woods causing this. This could be, normal electrical energy of the woods and stuff like that. Who knows? But, we just have different things happen at different locations where the same thing just doesn't work. And it could be that same piece of equipment doesn't work in a specific location, or different pieces of equipment not work. But yeah, we've definitely had that. A lot of batteries drain for no reason. We run very big battery packs on all of our stuff. All of our GoPros and stuff that we use, we have external battery packs for them and redundancy. Anytime that we go out, we have between 2 and 7 cameras running, depending. Every member of my team has a GoPro on them. And if we go out at night, you have a GoPro and a night vision camera.
Yeah.
So you have redundancy on that. And if you don't have a night vision, you also have a thermal. So redundancy.
It's important.
Mm-hmm.
Dan?
Yeah, we've experienced a lot of technical issues with our drones, with our cameras, and it's happened to us so often that we actually created a term for it. We call it CEI, Cryptid Electronic Interference. So we just gave it an acronym. Like I said, we've experienced it with our drones, with our cameras. It's just unexpected, and it's a thing. A lot of researchers out there have experienced this. Too many to ignore it. That something is going on. We don't know what, but something is definitely going on. You mentioned that you are often accompanied by a member of your team who's a medium. Has she ever experienced any mind speak while being out there with you guys?
That is an interesting question. So we have a medium, we had an empath, we have a spirit sensitive on our team, and each one of these kind of operates in a different way, but they have communicated with what they believe is a Bigfoot in the Burlington Woods on one of our trips down there, but not through mind speak. I'm trying to think if it was, I think that communication was through their spirit guide. So their spirit guide was saying, these creatures are over there. This is what they're doing. This is the answer to your question. I don't know that they directly spoke with them, especially through Mindspeak. I don't think anybody on our team has had that. We have had, myself and my mom were camping up at the Hayden Adventure one weekend, and she slept in her car. I have a van at the time that I was sleeping in the back of. So we were in different vehicles on the property, car camping. And we both remember waking up at the exact same time in the morning. It was like 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. We woke up, looked at the clock, and we both heard talking outside the vehicle. So again, it would have woken us up. So it's possible that it was, projected into your mind or something to wake you up, or we just heard it that loud outside the vehicles. And again, private property, there's nobody on the property, but so we're hearing these creatures coming outside. So we actually started hanging audio recorders outside the vehicles at night. And at one time we did capture some grunts, some possible vocals and stuff very close to the vehicles a couple weeks later up there as well. So I don't know.
Have you or any member of your team ever experienced the infrasound?
Yes. So Craig, the property owner up there, actually experienced this. He doesn't get sick, doesn't get headaches, migraines, or anything. And he was back deer hunting on the back of his property, and something happened. I can't remember what happened, and all of a sudden he got this massive migraine to the point where he couldn't see straight, couldn't anything. And it actually caused him to move the hunting blind that was back there to a different part of the property, because he just decided, this is your area, I'm not going to bother with it. The very first time that I was up at the Hayden to investigate, I got very sick to the point where I ended up throwing up. I got very dizzy and had issues with that. And sequentially, each time that we went up there, it seemed like one member of my team got sick for the first year of being up there. We all kind of took turns, but not necessarily to the effect of the migraine sick like that. Aside from that, I can't think of any other time that we were out where we experienced that though.
So, have you guys come across any animals in the woods, prey animals such as deer, with their necks broken, legs broken, any signs of unusual trauma, guts being removed while the other parts of the body remain untouched? Have you ever encountered any of that?
Personally, no. We do have two cases up at the Hayden Adventure again. Craig had found basically like a pile of deer. There was two deer killed together, and just the bones and stuff left. This was over winter, so he was just kind of moseying through the property and stumbled across that. He's also found random kills on the property. While we were investigating up there, though, there was a story of his neighbor had a guy coming on the property to hunt in that, and he shot a deer on the neighbor's property. The deer crossed over onto Craig and Barb's property, and they needed to get permission to come over there and track it. So they got permission. They started tracking this deer, and it got dark. So they said, okay, well, we can follow the blood. It's going to die. We'll come back in the morning. So they broke off the follow at about 7 o'clock at night, and 7 a.m. the next morning they went out. And the entire back guts of the deer were completely gone. All that was left was the head, spinal column, and let's see, the ribs, but cleaned of meat. So the ribs, and then a couple legs, but not all of them. I want to say that just the front two. So I believe what they said was this was like a couple 100-pound deer, and all that meat was just completely gone in the matter of less than 12 hours. So anytime any animal that would have been on the property that could have done this, there's at one time we had over 20 trail cameras on this property documenting stuff. We know almost every animal that comes and goes on that property. Anything that's in the area we've seen. So there's no wolves that have been documented on that property. And the biggest predator that would have been there, well, there's bears, but the biggest predator would have been coyotes. And that would have been a massive pack of coyotes to be able to consume that amount of meat. Now, the ground and area around this animal was completely devoid of blood. There was no leaf debris moved or anything that would indicate that this animal had been torn apart, or dogs are very grab, tear, run off, scatter, and drag stuff around in that. There's no evidence of that going on where this carcass was found the next day. So whatever took this thing apart was very meticulous, came in and just cleaned off the whole back end of it. So no guts, very little hair in the area too, because I mean, you're talking about the whole height of the back of this animal from basically the neck down was devoid of any hair. The only thing that was left intact was from like the neck, top of the chest there up to the nose of the deer was left untouched. So that was a very weird, and we got to see it a couple weeks after it. It wasn't that long, a week or two after it happened. We were up there again and saw the remnants of it, and then the photos and stuff of what they documented. But that would be
very interesting. Very interesting. A lot of researchers report coming across prey anomaly that are quite unusual. In regards to Sasquatch specifically, do you believe that the government knows they exist?
I would say they probably have to. There's even throwing out like the reports and stuff of, the Mount St. Helens stuff or all that stuff that people say has happened. I would say that parts of the government have to know. I think that a lot of the times in the government, people believe a lot too highly of the government that the right hand really doesn't know what the left hand is doing when it comes to a lot of the government stuff, that everything is so compartmentalized that they just don't all know. I think a lot of your DNR would know, your game wardens, park rangers, stuff like that. They know that they're out there. They know that they exist. I've spoken to some of them that have had encounters and that. And your police, obviously, sheriffs, patrol officers and stuff like that have all encountered this as well. So parts of the government know at least. And why they don't talk about it, why they don't come forward, there's always, your three big reasons. Number one, it boils down to money, more or less. So first of all, anytime that you have these things, if you're doing National Parks Service stuff, what's going to happen when you come out and say that these things are out there? Well, one of two things is going to happen. First of all, you're going to have a massive drop in people going to the national parks because they're like, I don't want to get attacked by one of these things, and there's the fear and stuff involved with that. Number two, on the other side, you're going to have all the crazy people that are going to go out and try and shoot one of these things. So you're going to have that issue. Your second thing is, what is that going to do to your logging industry? So it's going to, if these things are real, and they're out there, then your logging industry is going to be basically shut down and harbored, because all these things, well, if they're out there, are they endangered species? How many of them are there? Do we need to protect their environments? And you're going to have all this stuff come over you as well. So that's going to be another huge money issue that's going to happen. And as well on that, you're going to have the people from like missing 411 and stuff. And these people are going to come forward and say, well, you knew these things were out there the whole time, and you let my brother, uncle, cousin, whatever, go out into the woods, and he got abducted by one of these things, and now you're trying to cover it up and stuff. So there's tons of reasons why, and it all pretty much just boils down to money, that the reason why they wouldn't come forward and talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, it comes down to money.
Yep.
The effect that, and the money and the fear. So
it's also why it's not studied more. A lot of the researchers and stuff that come forward and say, well, I want to research Bigfoot. Well, who's going to give them money? Because nobody believes in it. And then the other thing is, if you come forward as a prominent researcher in primatology or whatever forestry industry, and you say, I want a grant to go look for Bigfoot, your credibility's thrown on the line. You're not going to get any more money. So these people are just like, well, I'm interested in Bigfoot, but I'm not going to talk about it, because if I do, I'm going to lose funding, I'm going to lose credibility and stuff. And it's this whole mess. The funding and the research all goes where people want it to go. And if there's no reason to research a Bigfoot, there's no funding behind it. We talk about this. I do presentations and stuff, and one of the things I bring up is, animals and people and stuff that we even know exist, we're still learning things about, because animals that we're researching, we're only researching the stuff we're paid to look at. So if we want to know how can we use information from a specific species' eyes to help cataracts or help blindness in humans, we're not looking at the other parts of the animal. We're not looking at its teeth. We're not looking at its nasal, its other senses at all. We're looking at the eyeballs of this animal. So that's where the funding is. So everything else that we're researching of this animal that is in science and we think that we know everything about, we're not looking at, because nobody's paying to look at it.
Yeah, excellent analysis. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. Before we close, let's throw the ball back over to Matt Slater in Quincy, Washington.
Well, just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show today. It's been very informative, and it sounds like your mom is very lucky.
Or not so much, yeah, I suppose. And the thing is, I was there for both of the encounters, and we did a thing where when we research up at the Hayden, we have one team stays at base camp, and then the other team walks to the back of the property, which is all creepy and weird, and we wait until we get weirded out, and then we walk back past base camp. And when we do this, the theory is that whatever's back there watching us is going to follow us and come past base camp, and base camp's going to get the stuff. And that's exactly what happened that night. Is we went to the back, walked back past base camp, and this thing followed us, and that's when she got to see it. So it was right there.
That's an excellent strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, Barnaby Jones from WisconsinCaps.com. Tell us what you got coming up in 2025. What's on the horizon for your great team?
Absolutely. Well, our next big thing is we have our convention here in Appleton, Wisconsin. It is May 9th, 10th, and 11th. Kicks off Friday with a VIP meet and greet that is actually sold out. We're going on a Bigfoot expedition as well that night. That's sold out. But Saturday, May 10th, we have over 30 vendors, and we have wonderful speakers from all across the United States. Stacy Brown Jr. is coming up from Florida. We have Squatch America. We have Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations, Chad Lewis, and myself is going to be part of a panel from my haunted hometown to talk about local hauntings and stuff that were part of that show. But we also have Angela Zabel doing a psychic gallery reading that evening, and the premiere of our brand new documentary, as I mentioned earlier, the Hairy Man of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot. The entire event is live streamed, so if anybody is interested, no matter where you are in the United States or the world, you can check out all of our great speakers, as well as you will get a 1-month voucher for the documentary. So up to a month out, you can check that out as well. The virtual tickets are just $5, and you can watch it either live or after it is ended as well. So you can check that out. And then if you are coming out here on Sunday, we are doing 2 paranormal investigations at one of the locations that was featured on My Haunted Hometown. So that is our big thing coming up. We have all kinds of cool stuff coming out for our YouTube channel, some new product that we're doing, and as well as our regular road trip series as well. And if you do miss out on our convention, the documentary will be out on our Patreon channel, which is Wisconsin Caps on Patreon. So
fantastic. Of course, to all our viewers, the links will all be in the description.
Yep.
So we highly encourage you to check out Wisconsin Caps and stay up with their great research. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with in 2025, and always breaking new ground in some way. And yeah, it's going to be great. We wish you guys the best, and we're looking forward to seeing what's ahead.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you very much for having me on, and for the wonderful chat today.
Thanks for being here. So for myself, Daniel Becker up in Anchorage, Alaska, for my fellow host, Matt Slater in Quincy, Washington, we will see you next time on the Cryptid Wilderness Research Podcast.